Imagine this. You're sharing your screen with someone on Zoom. Maybe you're trying to help them find a button on a website, or maybe you're looking at a document together. You say, "Look at the left top place." The other person pauses for a second. They understand that you're trying to describe a location, but the phrase doesn't quite sound natural. So you try again. The thing in the top left, no, the left upper, the corner thing. And now the problem is not that your English is terrible. The problem is that this is one of those extremely practical pieces of English that many learners never really learn directly. You learn grammar, you learn vocabulary, you learn test words. But then, one day, in real life, you need to say, the upper left corner, and suddenly you realize nobody ever taught you how to describe a simple position on a screen.
That's actually a very real problem.
It is, and what makes it useful is that this is not only about four-corner phrases, it's about how English describes location clearly in everyday situations. Hello, I'm Teacher Sammy.
And I'm Jonathan.
This is English in Asia, where we talk about how English is actually used in real life, not just what you might find in a textbook.
And today we're talking about how to describe positions like the upper left, the upper right, the lower left, and the lower right.
These sound simple, but they are surprisingly useful. You need them when you talk about photos, phone screens, websites, documents, products in a display case, medical symptoms, and all kinds of daily situations.
And this is exactly the kind of English that people often need but don't always learn in regular classes. I think this topic is interesting because it seems almost too basic at first.
Yes, people might think, why would I need an entire discussion about corners?
But then real life happens.
Exactly. You're helping someone use an app, you're telling a coworker where something is on a slide, you're describing a person in a photo, you're asking a shop clerk to show you something in a display case.
Or you're trying to tell a doctor where your back hurts.
Right, and suddenly these simple location phrases become very important.
So this is one of those cases where the English is not intellectually complicated, but it is practically important.
That's a good way to put it. The difficulty is not understanding the concept. The difficulty is having the natural phrase ready when you need it. If this kind of explanation is useful for you, subscribe. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments.
So let's start with the basic idea. In English, we often use upper for the top part of something and lower for the bottom part.
Yes, and then we combine those with left and right. So the top left area becomes the upper left, the top right area becomes the upper right, the bottom left area becomes the lower left, and the bottom right area becomes the lower right.
And we often add corner if we want to be very clear.
Right, you can say the upper left corner, the upper right corner, the lower left corner, and the lower right corner.
So if I'm looking at a photo and I say, "Who is the woman in the upper right corner?" that sounds natural.
Very natural.
And if I'm looking at a website and I say, "Click the button in the upper left corner," that also sounds natural.
Yes, that is exactly the kind of situation where these phrases are useful.
Let's slow that down with a photo example, because I think that's very easy to imagine.
Sure.
Imagine you're looking at a family photo. There are 10 people in the picture. Somebody asks you, "Which one is your sister?"
You might say, "She's the girl in the upper right corner."
That gives the listener a quick way to find the person.
Exactly. You're not describing her clothes, her face, her height, or everything around her. You're just giving her position in the image.
And that is often the fastest way to communicate.
Yes. In many situations, position is the simplest description.
You could say she's standing behind the man in the blue shirt, but that might take longer.
And it may still be unclear if there are several people in blue shirts.
But the upper right corner is direct.
Right. It gives the listener a visual target.
This is probably even more important now because so much adult life happens on screens.
Yes, screens are full of corners.
Exactly. Phone screens, computer screens, websites, apps, online forms, Zoom windows.
And if you don't know how to describe positions, even a simple instruction becomes difficult.
Like if you're helping someone during a Zoom class and you want them to click a button?
You might say, "Look in the lower left corner of the screen."
Or, the icon is in the upper right corner.
Exactly.
And this is much more natural than trying to say something like the right above place or the left bottom side.
Yes, learners often create phrases that are understandable but not natural because they are translating the idea piece by piece.
And in a practical situation, that can slow everything down.
Right, the other person may understand eventually, but there is extra effort.
There's one detail that matters here, the preposition.
Yes, when we use corner, we usually say in the corner.
So, in the upper left corner.
Right, not usually on the upper left corner.
Why in?
Because we are thinking of the corner as a small area or space inside the larger picture, screen, page, or object.
So we might say, the logo is in the upper left corner of the page.
Yes.
And the date is in the lower right corner of the photo.
Also natural.
This is the kind of small prepositional difference that learners often miss.
Yes, and it matters because prepositions are part of how the phrase feels natural.
The shopping example from the original idea is good too.
Yes, imagine you're at a watch store and there are many watches inside a glass display case.
You can't just pick one up yourself.
Right, so you need to tell the clerk which one you want to see.
You might say, "Could I see the watch in the lower left corner?"
Exactly, that is very clear.
And much better than pointing awkwardly and saying, "That one. No, not that one. The one down there. Left. No, the other left."
Everyone has had that kind of conversation.
Sadly, yes.
The phrase, "in the lower left corner," solves the problem quickly.
And again, this is not fancy English. It's practical English.
Exactly, it's English that helps life move more smoothly.
Now, I want to ask about something. Could we also say top left and bottom right?
Yes, absolutely. In everyday English, top left and bottom right are very common.
So, upper left corner and top left corner both work?
Yes, both are natural. Top left may feel a little more casual and direct. Upper left can sound a bit more precise or slightly more formal, but both are useful.
That's good to mention because people may hear both.
Definitely. For example, someone might say, "Click the icon in the top right corner." That is completely normal.
And upper right corner is also correct.
Yes.
So learners don't need to panic if they hear top right instead of upper right.
No, the important thing is understanding the pattern.
Top or upper for the high part. bottom or lower for the low part.
Exactly.
Now, this brings us to another useful distinction, corner versus side.
Yes, this matters a lot.
A corner is a specific area where two edges meet.
Right, the upper left corner is not just somewhere on the left, it is specifically near the top and left edges together.
But side is broader.
Exactly. The left side could mean a large area on the left. The right side could mean a large area on the right. It doesn't necessarily mean the corner.
So if I say the button is on the left side of the screen, that gives a general location.
Yes, but if I say the button is in the upper left corner, that is much more specific.
And the preposition changes too.
Right. With side, we usually say on the side.
So, on the left side, on the right side, on the lower right side.
Yes.
But with corner, in the corner.
Exactly.
That's a really useful distinction.
This becomes important when describing pain, too.
Yes, especially because medical situations are stressful.
Exactly. If you are already worried or uncomfortable, you don't want to struggle to describe where the pain is.
So if your back hurts, you might say, the lower right side of my back hurts.
Yes, or I have pain on the lower right side of my back.
And here we use side, not corner.
Right. Bodies don't usually have corners in the same way that screens, photos, pages, or display cases do.
That would be strange.
Quite strange, yes.
So for the body, we usually talk about sides, areas, parts, maybe the upper back or lower back.
Exactly. You might say, the pain is on the left side of my neck, or my lower back hurts on the right side.
And that is much more useful than saying, my back hurts here when the doctor cannot see what you mean.
Right. Precise language can matter in real situations.
I think one reason learners have trouble with these phrases is that they seem too simple to study.
Yes, they don't feel like important vocabulary.
Exactly. They don't look like TOEIC words. They don't look advanced. They're not impressive.
But they are useful.
Very useful, yes.
And often, the words that make communication smoother are not advanced words. They are simple words used in the right combination and context.
That's something learners often underestimate.
Yes, good English is not always about knowing difficult words. Very often, it is about quickly choosing a clear, natural phrase for an ordinary situation.
Like, in the upper right corner.
Exactly.
It's not advanced, but if you don't know it, you suddenly become very limited.
Right, you may know much harder vocabulary, but still struggle to describe something on a screen.
Let's think about adult situations where this comes up.
There are many.
You're helping your parents use a phone.
Very common.
You say, tap the icon in the lower right corner.
Or, look at the top left of the screen.
You're reviewing a document with a coworker.
You say, the mistake is in the upper left corner of the second page.
Or you're describing a problem on a website.
You say, the login button is on the right side, but the error message appears in the lower left corner.
You're looking at a photo with a friend.
You say, who's that guy in the upper left?
You're shopping.
You say, can I see the one in the lower right corner?
This is all very normal adult communication.
Exactly, and that's why this topic is worth learning.
There's also a listening side to this.
Yes, once you know these phrases, you start hearing them more easily.
Because if someone says it's in the upper right, you immediately know where to look.
Exactly.
But if you are still trying to translate each word, you may be too slow.
Right. These phrases should become chunks.
Upper left, lower right, top right, bottom left.
Yes, they should feel automatic.
And that matters because in real life, people often use these phrases quickly.
Especially when they are giving instructions.
Like during screen sharing or a Zoom video call.
Exactly.
What are some unnatural versions learners might create?
They might say left upper corner instead of upper left corner.
Because in some languages, the order works differently.
Right, but in English, the more natural order is usually upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right.
So vertical position first, then horizontal position.
Yes, in this phrase pattern.
And people might also say left down corner or right below corner.
Yes, those are understandable, but not natural.
So the natural phrase is not built word by word from translation.
Exactly, it is a standard phrase pattern.
That's similar to what we've talked about in other episodes.
Yes, many natural English expressions work as chunks. If you try to rebuild them from another language word by word, they may become awkward.
So let's bring it together. If something is near the top and left of a picture, screen, or page, you can say it is in the upper left corner or the top left corner.
If it is near the top and right, it is in the upper right corner or the top right corner.
If it is near the bottom and left, it is in the lower left corner or the bottom left corner.
And if it is near the bottom and right, it is in the lower right corner or the bottom right corner.
For corners, use in.
For sides, use on.
So in the corner, but on the side.
Right.
If there are everyday English phrases you've needed in real life but never learned in class, leave them in the comments. Those are exactly the kinds of topics we want to talk about in future episodes.
Thanks for listening to English in Asia.
We hope this helped you describe positions more naturally in English.
And next time you need to explain where something is on a screen, in a photo, or on a page, you'll have the English ready.
See you next time!
If this kind of video is useful for you, please subscribe. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments.